athlete, you'll die an athlete. It's in your DNA.
You're an athlete. Live like an athlete so that you can be successful in life.
You're an athlete. Live like it.
ANA, America needs athletes. Welcome, athletes, into another episode of the Gym Closet. I'm here, as always, with...
What's up, you guys? Amber. It's Amber. I'm off my deathbed.
I was going to say, it's been...
barely.
Early this week has been, and the weekend, too. I was sick first, then Amber was sick, and...
If you guys got the flu or anything this time of year, you know it's not fun.
It is brutal. For those who are joining us for the first time, the Gym Closet is a Krave Gym podcast where we talk about everything Krave Gym. We talk about a lot of different things that will hopefully help you on your fitness journey. Whether you're just starting out, we're going to talk about that a little bit today, or if you have been a seasoned athlete, we're going to talk about a lot of those things that can optimize your training and do stuff, different things for you. And so across the board, that's kind of what we're all about. What we do at Krave Gym is train like athletes, because you are an athlete, so you should train like athletes and live like athletes. So today we're going to cover a few different things. So this can be a message for someone that hasn't started yet. Maybe I talked on my social media about how I was 2 weeks late to actually starting my January goals, just because New Year's got busy for us, and but I started, and that's when I kind of got into my goals. Better late than never. So if it's someone like that has not started your goals, whether it's fitness or anything that that will help you get healthier this year, and you haven't started yet, now's the time. You can definitely start still. And then for anybody also that has kind of went gung-ho, had all of the motivation when it came to the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks here of the new year, and then it faded a little bit, and they're getting kind of slapped in the face with a reality check as well. So we have 7 different things that is basically a reality check, that you want to make sure that you check these boxes and understand these things prior to starting or starting again. And so that kind of talks to both those type of people. So one of the things that at Krave, everybody's an athlete, and that's kind of the first thing that some people are hesitant about. Is like, I'm not an athlete, I don't know what you're talking about. But if you have a body and you're able to move, you are an athlete, and you should be training like an athlete. That's what we're all about. And so the first thing is your identity is anchored in that athleticism, and so that's why we train how we do, so that we can work on balance, power, speed, being able to move your body. That's all so important. And so that's why it's part of your fitness journey. So if you are just starting, that's what we do at Krave. But the thing that we start with is, that's kind of this reality checkpoint, is that we think everything's going to be perfect. Here for the first 3 weeks, we have a motivation that can be really, really high. So we really grind hard for the 3 weeks, and then we're like, shoot, I don't know if this is really motivating anymore. It's not really something I want to do anymore. And so that's when we kind of fall off. And so understanding that the consistency and the habit is what we're working for, not just when we're motivated. So you're not going to be motivated every day. That's the number one key in understanding, is it won't be perfect. And if you think that it's going to be perfect and you're going to fall off after that first day that you don't make it in, and you have to adjust a schedule, or life happens and you have to go to a later session that you're not used to, whatever the case might be, that it's not going to be perfect as far as your starting point in your journey. And that's one thing I think that a lot of people have a tough time, at least at first, kind of being able to adapt to. Hey, I'm sick now. You know what I mean?
Well, and I was just thinking, when you're saying this, I kind of forgot that I'm not about like New Year's resolutions and I have to hit these. Like, I think that at Crave, we instill habits into athletes to just show up consistently at the gym, to live that athletic life. And so I feel like a lot of our athletes don't have that pressure of like they need to achieve these big fitness goals every single year, which is refreshing for a lot of people because they feel like there's less pressure on them. But I kind of forgot that I set intentions every year. So like these are the intentions that I want to have. And I feel like those intentions were set like months ago because honestly, like starting January 5th, our son had a big knee surgery and an ankle surgery. And that kind of set us back a little bit. And then me getting sick now has kind of set some things back. But I guess I've never felt like I failed because I know that when I feel better and the time's better, I'm going to achieve those intentions. But I feel like that stems from not being like so gung ho about these New Year's resolutions because throughout my entire year, I set good intentions and I stick with those. And so it kind of takes that pressure off to be like, oh, I didn't achieve this. And now I fail and I'm not motivated anymore. Like I'm still motivated and I know when the time comes, I'll be able to do it again. But yeah, I just feel like those intentions were set so long ago and now
Yeah.
we're already like almost through 1 month and it hasn't happened, but it doesn't mean that I'm failing or I'm not motivated to do it anymore.
And it's just one of those things too, that you understand that there's a longer game at play.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you don't, I think a lot of people are like, if I don't lose these 30 pounds in
This
6
first
weeks,
month
I failed.
yeah.
And
And
so
then the rest of
I'm
the
not going
year,
to start.
they're not going to do anything.
Exactly. And so that's the thing that it won't be perfect. Your first 8 weeks, if it is perfect because you're just super motivated, great. Take that momentum and roll. But understand that week 9, 10, or 11 is not going to be perfect, and you're going to start to get unmotivated. And that's when consistency helps, and the scheduling and being able to understand that it is a longer process.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of brings us into progress takes time is number 2. Results don't come overnight. And so you're not going to get, if you do get, all of your results in 6 weeks and then you hang it up, that's what everyone talks about is as far as like a yo-yo diet or whatever. And that's in nutrition. We don't coach that. We want to be sustainable for the rest of our lives. Because if you earn something in 6 weeks, you're then going to quit, give it up, and then ultimately not be able to maintain that ultimately forever, which is what you want to do with your fitness. You don't want to just lose the same 30 pounds every single year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what a lot of people get into, or every 2 years or 3 years, is they go through a big change for 6-8 weeks, and then they go right back to normal and then slowly gain it back, or sometimes quickly gain it back. And then they'll get, and they'll get motivated again in the next year and start it all over again. And that's not a healthy way to maintain. So understanding that progress takes time and it takes commitment, and it takes the consistency, not just the motivation.
And I think with this, like not chasing a number on the scale when it comes to your progress, right? I've seen a lot of posts on social media lately of like instead of chasing the number on the scale when you join a gym or you have these health and fitness goals, it's like chase that feeling of how good moving your body makes you feel, right? For longevity of your life, for your health, for more energy to have around your kids and your family. And things like that, because that will sustain you a lot longer than just a number on the scale will, because we see it happen a lot. People will join a gym, they'll want to lose 30 pounds or 60 pounds in a certain amount, and then they do that, and then they quit the gym, but then they gain it all back, where they're not chasing that feeling of how good it's making them feel. And so that's one thing that we see a lot at Crave is just these athletes come in because they know how good fitness makes them feel versus what the weight says on the scale.
Perfect. Yeah. I mean, the part of that also is, which goes good into the next one, which is resting is part of the plan, right? So part of feeling good is recovering, and so I think that plays right into the next one, because if you just are balls to the wall for 6 weeks and you don't let your body recover, you get to a point where you're not feeling good and you've overtrained, or maybe you have an injury or something like that creeps up on you because you're not doing it in a way that you can maintain for a long period of time. And so that's what, understanding how your body feels, you're going to be a little bit sore when you first start. You're going to have those aches and pains. That will eventually go away if you're allowing yourself to recover, not if you are overtraining and training intensely every single day. And so rest is a part of the plan. The big thing that I like to tell everybody is it's not about obviously workouts and that kind of stuff. That's what's breaking your body down, but that's not actually when you get better. You get better during recovery. And so allowing your body to recover and get the results in that time, that's a very important part of the process that's oftentimes overlooked with a lot of these gyms that are just like, hey, come in here, train 7 days a week, every single day, as intense as you can, and have, do this thing for 8 weeks, and you're going to lose 35 pounds. And then what? It's not a sustainable model, because you're going to hurt yourself without that recovery that you need to do. And oftentimes you're not addressing nutrition in those as well. And so a lot of that, just the recovery is a part of the plan. The rest time is a part of the plan. And so understand that is going to make you feel a whole lot better.
And it's a lot of people that join Krave, they're busy. They're busy individuals, whether that's in careers, families, balancing it all out. And so it's so unrealistic sometimes to say, okay, you need to come in 7 times a week and hit it hard and give all this energy when you have hardly any energy to give. And so when our athletes, come in 3 times a week and they hit it hard and they know that that's success and they're going to get results doing that, versus a gym telling them to come in 6-7 days a week and they miss 2 of those days, then they have only gone in 4. Now they feel like they failed. And so it's been a really good mindset shift just to understand, like, you can get really good results by training and recovering correctly and watching your nutrition.
Definitely. And the next one that we want to touch on is the journey is yours and yours alone. And so I think that a lot of people are intimidated prior to going into a gym. Maybe they're thinking like, oh, all of these people are going to be in great shape. I'm going to compare myself to other people, and I'm not going to feel comfortable. That is a tough one to get over, but to take that first step is huge, because you want to make sure that you understand that your journey, you can't compare it to anyone else's. And that's a tough thing to do. If you look at myself, I look at some people that have more years than I do, but if someone would look at me in the gym and want to compare themselves there, I've literally been in the gym for 20 something years now. Almost 30 years, which is aging me quite a bit. But if you're looking at someone's, middle of the book and you're on chapter 1, it's a very tough thing to do, and that can be intimidating, and that can make you feel down about yourself and your results. And so making sure that you understand it's a long book, to go back to that analogy, but it's a long book, and you're filling in your chapters as far as your fitness and health journey, and it's nobody else's. Everybody else has different things that they have to overcome, and you're going to have the different things that you have to overcome, and nobody's in the exact same place. And so keeping that in mind, to not compare to other people when you're trying to do that. I love competitiveness. And so there's certain times for that, and I'm not saying get rid of that completely, but when we're in our daily workout routine and when we're doing our team training sessions, if you're comparing yours to you yesterday, that's ultimately going to be what you want to do. And did I win to get better, 1% better every single day?
Good.
Agreed. Agreed. Okay, so we're going right on to the next one. So number 5, we have start smart. So a lot of people, again, and this kind of touches on some of the other things that we've talked about, but a lot of people will change 200 things and go 100% to create a fitness that they want to do it. They'll go 100 miles an hour day 1 and then end up burning out. Sorry. We've both been sick, so the audio on this is probably going to be terrible. But so they go to they start at 0 to 100 as fast as possible, and that's an easy way to burn out and not get results, because you just are trying to do too many things. So we just started our Prime 6 challenge here at the beginning of the year. And what that is about, it's super simple habit stacking. You're concentrating on adding one habit per week until you have those 6 habits. And those 6 habits are very simplified and easy to do. And so it's a great way to start, and you want to look at it as a progression. You never want to just go as hard as possible, change everything about your life in a second, because those things are much harder to stick to. But if you can just concentrate on one thing this week, add another the next week, add another the next week, add another the next week, then you have a foundation that will stay with you long term, and you'll see amazing results. And so starting smart, making sure that you're getting the recovery, and not going from working out never to twice a day for 6 days a week, right? So those are things that a lot of people will preach about. Just to go as hard as you can, as often as you can, and that's not that doesn't have a science base to make you get the results that you want.
And that's what a lot of times when athletes start at Krave and they want to do the nutrition coaching and all of it at once, sometimes we say, okay, let's just get you in here training 2 to 3 times a week. Let's just focus on that base foundation versus starting them on everything at once, because we've seen people fail when there's too much on their plate and they feel like they can't handle it, and then they give up altogether. So we'd rather build on those habits versus just throwing it all at somebody. And it does help. And I think that ties back into the first one, because if you don't feel like you're perfect, you have all these big goals, and you said, I'm going to work out 6 days a week, and then you're not perfect in that week, then you're going to fail. And so starting smart and small, and then stacking, even if you just do for 2 weeks, I'm going to do this, and then the next 2 weeks, I'm going to do this, and then this, it will help a ton and keep you motivated and accountable.
Definitely. Next one we want to talk about is just being nice to yourself, being kind, give yourself some grace. We talked about it in, the journey is yours, so you're not comparing yourself to others. But the big thing that I think a lot of people, I think in general, like psychologically, I don't know, I'm not a psychologist, but I do feel like everyone is harder on themselves, or at least have like that internal talk that's harder on themselves than they would be to like a significant other or a good friend, because they just are trying to belittle themselves and say that I can never get this right. And then they quit ultimately. And so I think this is an important one to keep in mind is, when you're in this journey that hopefully now will last for the rest of your life, start today. There's no better time than the only time better than yesterday is right now. And so start right now, but be kind to yourself through it, because you're going to have ups and downs, and there's going to be things that maybe you're not as good at. Again, that goes back to not comparing yourself to others, but also see the positives that you have, and looking at the being grateful for what you do have and the talents that you do have, and what you can work on is great. And then understanding and seeing how good you're getting at some of the things that you weren't good at. And I think that those compliments to yourself go a really long way, and being able to see, going from maybe a box jump. So we're in agility season this season, but going from a box jump of, 6 inches to 12 inches, you might not think that that's a big deal, because you see a bunch of other people going from on a 36-inch box or something like that. But that is a huge deal for you. So you should celebrate those things, and understand that is progress is huge. And so, being nice to yourself and understanding that that's a big part of this is you don't want to get down on yourself for those things.
And I think too, it's, say you start this New Year's resolution, or you start today, and then a couple of days down the road, you miss a workout, right? Because you're tired, your body hurts, you're sore. That doesn't mean that you failed or you're a quitter. It just means that your body needed some recovery, And then don't let that make you spiral out of control. So you just get back on track, right? And you say, okay, I know I missed Wednesday, but now I'm going to go Friday because my body's recovered. I'm going to feel good going into that workout. Same thing that I tell my nutrition clients. It's, don't let one bad day ruin your entire week. Like, yes, you might mess up one day, but don't let that continue to spiral where you mess up then another day and another day and another day. And you just say, screw it. I'm going to start next week. So give yourself grace in those moments because we're all human. We all need rest days. We all need more sleep. You might wake up one morning just feeling tired and listen to your body. You might just need rest. And so just giving yourself grace in those moments too, because, like I said, we are all human and there's days that we might need to just miss a workout or binge an eating because our body's telling us something.
Yeah. And I think, Amber's a great example. She slept for the last 72
It
hours.
was great.
So, she
and I'm giving myself grace.
She obviously wasn't going to be working out during a time where her body couldn't wake up, and so those are things that you have to fit into your plan. And that kind of goes into the next thing is this last thing that we were going to talk about today is with this reality check, stay real, have a real plan that works in real life. We all have these, make-believe things that we can think is going to happen, but then the human element gets pushed in. I was guilty early on in my coaching career of forgetting about the human element and just saying, well, just do this. Well, life happens and oftentimes you can't do that. And so having a plan that understands contingencies and understands that you're going to have a varied way, that's not the word I'm looking for, but you're going to have a planned way to vary from your plan, if that makes sense. So that's what a contingency is if I have X, Y, and Z happen and I can't work out today, what is my plan? Okay, well, if my plan was to work out 7 days a week and there's no other options, then you just failed that plan, right? If your plan was to eat 0 carbs and you decided that, after 2 weeks of this, I can't do it anymore, and you have a piece of cake or cereal or anything in the world because everything has carbs, which is good, then that means that that plan is not a real plan. That's just a make-believe, thing that if we were all robots, we could probably do it, but we're not. We have the human element. And so staying real with what does your life look like? What does your schedule look like? How can you fit it in? And that's the one thing that at Krave we do, and we do it really well, is being able to show you what plan and how you can vary your plan, right? So maybe you typically work out early in the morning, but you can't, and then now I have to work out in the evening. Great. Move the schedule, no problem. You work out 3 days a week. And so then you have 24/7 access. So if you have to move a workout to midnight, then that's great. If that's what works in your plan, because you work, typically you work normal hours and now you worked overnight or something like that, or a third shift, whatever it is, those are things that can be worked into your plan. And oftentimes staying real and having a plan with your coach can really help to bounce those ideas off of. Same thing with nutrition in our FTP groups, or if you're working with one of our coaches on just nutrition. All of those things say, okay, so I fell off today because I went to my kid's birthday party and I had some cake, and what's my contingency? Where can I go? Oftentimes the coach will be like, nothing. Get back to normal tomorrow, right? Other times there might be, an option to say, okay, no problem. Cut out 20 grams of carbs for the next 4 days, which isn't a ton, and then you made up for it, and that's what you might need to do to stay exactly on your macros as far as the average per week. So there's a lot of different things that you can do that a lot of our coaches can help you make those changes if something crazy comes up, because life is life, and definitely everybody's busy and has different things going on. So,
well, and I think it helps it make it a lifestyle then, right? It's
For sure.
not just like a routine that you have to do. Like people approach me and they're like, I just need a meal plan. I need you to tell me exactly what to eat at this time and what I should be eating. And that might sound great in the moment, but or is that going to be sustainable for the rest of your life as you go through different, eras of your life? It's like, is this going to be sustainable? So let's just make this a lifestyle change right away. So that way, when you're tired, you're busy with whatever comes up in your life, you're able to instill these habits and continue with them versus just having everything so controlled. And ultimately it's like that's at Krave with the workouts, the training sessions and all that stuff, and then the nutrition side of it too. It's we want this to be a lifestyle change and habits for you guys, not just something that you take with you for 3, 6, 8, 10, 12 months.
Exactly. Any updates? Anything we want to talk about?
No, I think just we got the challenge coming up here February 4th and 5th. So that will be coming up. And then we have sign up sheets ready to go for our power partner, our ARL, or the Humane Society. Those are online. You can sign up online or at the QR codes at the gyms as well to get signed up.
Everybody
for
should have
those.
just gotten an email with all of that information on there. So the links are all in there, and you're able to get into the sign up sheets through those links at whatever location that you're at, depending on the times and all that kind of stuff, which may vary. I think one of them's the metro is to be determined as far as what location exactly.
Yeah, if we have big groups, they'll just
Depending on
split us
so
up.
there's some variables still, but if you want to get in early so that we can get good numbers, so that we can lock in some of those variables, because some of them have to do with how many people are going to do it. So we'd love to get those, and those are always awesome. So
yeah, and then the soulmate workout coming up February 14th. So that's on a Saturday. It is filling up. I noticed today when I was going through, there was a lot of responses on there. So each location has allowed up to 36 athletes to participate. So that's people in the community, as well as Krave athletes. So they're able to bring up to 3 people to participate in that. So make sure you guys are getting signed up for that if you want to join. That's from 9 to 10 on Saturday, February 14th.
and it's going quick. So
Mhm.
and that's still 3 weeks away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if it's filling up 3 weeks out, make sure that you get on it now. Again, there's a link to that sign up sheet on there, because it's not on the app like a normal session would be, because we have a bunch of people that will be added to it, as far as people that are just coming in and the swole mates, right? Coming with their friends and family. So yeah, super excited. Awesome, guys. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Remember, you're an athlete. Live like it.